Her body was shutting down. Her eyes were open, but she could no longer see. At 8,500 meters above sea level, the infamous death zone, every second is a battle between life and death. Her lungs burned with every breath. Her heart raced against exhaustion, and her mind wavered between consciousness and unconsciousness. She had collapsed alone on the ice, gloves missing, oxygen nearly depleted, her mask torn by the brutal Himalayan winds. In the death zone, humans are not built to survive. The air contains only a third of the oxygen at sea level. The body deteriorates rapidly. The brain struggles to function. The heart falters, muscles seize, and hypothermia sets in almost immediately. Most climbers who fall here are never seen again. But on this day in 2025, something extraordinary happened. A rescue so daring and extreme that it would later be described by experts as nearly impossible. It was a story not just of survival, but of human courage, endurance, and the selfless bravery of the Sherpas. Welcome to the Silent Peaks, where we uncover the world's deadliest mountains, the climbers who challenge them, and the Sherpas who risk everything to save lives. It was late May 2025. Summit season had drawn hundreds of climbers from all over the world. The mountain was crowded, yet unforgiving. Temperatures had plummeted far below -35 degrees Celsius, and winds gusted violently across the ridges, stronger than they had been in years. These conditions made climbing not just difficult, but extremely dangerous. Many climbers turned back, knowing their limits. One woman, experienced and determined, chose to continue upward despite exhaustion, oxygen depletion, and the mounting risk. Somewhere above the Hillary step, the unforgiving mountain finally forced her to her knees. She collapsed, unable to move. Her oxygen tank was emptying, her gloves and boots already numb from frostbite. She was alone, at the mercy of a mountain that does not forgive mistakes. Her team radioed base camp. The message was urgent. A climber had fallen and was barely alive at extreme altitude. Base camp instructed caution. Rescue at that altitude, in that storm, was considered impossible. Helicopters could not fly, and no support team could climb safely to that altitude without risking their own lives. Most assumed she was lost. But two Sherpas refused to accept that. These Sherpas had been guiding other climbers nearby, carrying equipment and monitoring their clients' safety. When they heard that a climber's pulse still faintly existed above 8,500 meters, they made a decision that would risk everything. They would attempt a rescue. They quickly prepared oxygen bottles, ropes, thermal blankets, and safety harnesses. They knew that every step they took would be a fight with the thin air, icy slopes, and freezing winds. Climbing upward into the death zone in a storm is nearly unthinkable. The Sherpas pressed on, step by step, as the storm whipped ice across their faces. Every breath burned like fire in their lungs. Their oxygen masks began to freeze. Their gloves stiffened. Exhaustion threatened to crush them at every moment. Yet they moved forward, drawn by the knowledge that a human life was in peril. After hours of climbing, they reached the climber. She was half buried in snow, lying on her side, barely breathing, pulse barely perceptible. Most people would have called it hopeless, but the Sherpas measured hope differently. They measure life itself. They quickly assessed her condition. Her oxygen was critically low. Her body was beginning to shut down. Frostbite had already set in to her fingers and toes, but her heart was still beating, and that was enough. The Sherpas made a decision that many would consider reckless. They would carry her down themselves. At that altitude, lifting a human being is almost impossible. The air is thin, the body weakens rapidly, and a single misstep could be fatal. But they took turns, lifting her onto their backs, alternating every 20 minutes to avoid total exhaustion. They moved across ice ridges, down steep drops, and through violent gusts of wind, inch by inch. During the descent, she drifted in and out of consciousness. Her pulse weakened. At one point, she stopped breathing entirely. One Sherpa placed his oxygen mask to her mouth, sacrificing his own oxygen supply temporarily to revive her. She began breathing again. Time was their enemy, but they did not stop. They forced their bodies to continue, step by step, hour by hour, until they reached the first secure location at the balcony. Even then, the danger was far from over. Other guides joined them, helping to stabilize her condition. Her oxygen levels were critically low. Frostbite had set deep into her extremities. Her heart rate remained dangerously irregular, but she was alive. The Sherpas continued their descent all the way to Camp 2, where the terrain allowed for helicopter evacuation. This took another full day, with exhaustion, hypothermia, and the risk of death constant, yet their determination never wavered. Finally, she was airlifted to safety, stabilized, and taken to medical care at base camp. Against all odds, she had survived. When the story reached the climbing community, it became an instant legend. Experts described it as one of the most daring high-altitude rescues in recent memory. Some questioned whether climbers should rely so heavily on Sherpas for their survival. Others highlighted the extraordinary courage, endurance, and skill required for such a feat. This rescue also sparked ethical discussions. Should climbers risk their lives knowing Sherpas will intervene? How much responsibility should guides bear for client survival? In the death zone, these questions are complex, but one truth is undeniable. Sherpas are the lifeblood of Himalayan expeditions. They are the unsung heroes who risk everything so others may live. The rescued climber later acknowledged that, without the Sherpas, she would not have survived even a single night at that altitude. Her story is a testament to human endurance, courage, and the incredible moral and physical strength of the Sherpas. The 2025 Sherpa rescue was not just a heroic act, it was a redefining moment in the history of high-altitude climbing. It showed that even in the harshest, most unforgiving environments on Earth, human courage, skill, and selflessness can overcome impossible odds. Everest claims lives every year, yet on that night, 2 Sherpas brought someone back from the brink of death. This is not only a story of survival, but a story of humanity, endurance, and the unbreakable bond between humans who risk their lives for others. In the mountains, every climber is at the mercy of nature, but sometimes nature is met by human courage. This is the Sherpa rescue in the death zone of 2025. A story that will be remembered as long as Everest stands, as long as climbers continue to test the limits of human endurance, and as long as Sherpas walk those icy ridges with courage, strength, and compassion.